Meeting, please. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this special meeting of the Cabinet. I'm Councillor Richard Bell, Deputy Leader of County Council and Chair of the meeting today. The meeting is being broadcast live through our YouTube channel. Before we commence with today's formal business, I would like to cover some of the housekeeping issues for us to follow. Please switch off or make silent your mobile phones. Keep microphones switched off at all times unless invited to speak. When invited to speak, please switch on the microphone nearest to you and introduce yourself. Moving on to the agenda, item 1, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations from members? No, thank you. Item 2, North East Devolution, report of the Chief Executive. Can I ask John Hewitt, Chief Executive, to present the report, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Good morning, Cabinet. This report sets out the next steps in taking forward arrangements for establishing a new mayoral combined authority for the area covered by the 7 local authorities in the North East and securing a devolution deal which will see a shift of powers and funding from central government to the region. The devolution deal is expected to provide $4.2 billion of additional investment in the region over the next 30 years, including a $1.4 billion investment fund and additional funding for transport, housing and skills. Paragraph 7 of the report sets out the governance changes that need to be agreed, including the abolition of the North of Tyne and Combined Authority and NECA, with a new North East Mayoral Combined Authority being created covering the wider area. Paragraphs 8 and 9 set out details of the governance review that was undertaken in late 2022 and also the details of the public consultation that was considered by Cabinet in May this year. Details of the draft statutory order are set out from paragraph 11 of the report. The order will provide for the election of a mayor in May 2024, as well as setting out the powers and duties of the new mayoral combined authority. An overview of the order is attached at Appendix 2 of the report. The Secretary of State can only make the order if the 7 local authorities consent to it. The report also seeks authorisation for myself, in consultation with the Leader of the Council, to finalise any areas required for inclusion in a side agreement, as was the case when the North of Tyne Combined Authority was created. The recommendations are set out in paragraph 5 of the report, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Cabinet will recall that we have previously considered the Minded to devolution deal and the associated governance review, as well as considering the outcomes of the region-wide consultation exercise in May this year. This report sets out the next steps in the process and the requirements to establish a new mayoral combined authority which will replace the existing North East Combined Authority, NECA, and North of Tyne Authority. The Secretary of State is preparing the statutory order that is required to implement the proposals, and Cabinet is being asked to agree in principle that the Council should consent to the making of the order, and to authorise the Chief Executive to issue the formal consent when requested from the Secretary of State, and to take forward the other arrangements associated with the proposals as set out in the recommendations section of the report. A summary of the content of the statutory order is appended to the report, which reflects the Minded to devolution deal and scheme that we previously agreed. The new mayoral combined authority for the North East will unlock the benefits of the Minded to deal and improve the exercise of statutory functions across the region. As set out in the report, it is anticipated that the Secretary of State will issue his request for the councils and combined authorities to consent to the making of the order in December or January. This will allow for the order to be laid before Parliament and for it to be made or take effect by March 2024. This will also then allow for the mayoral election to be held in May 2024, with the North East Mayoral Combined Authority to come into existence on the 7th of May next year. On that basis, I am happy to move the recommendations as set out in the report. Is there anyone else? Councillor Alan Shield, please, to second the report.
Thank you, Chair. This LA7 deal presents a compelling and economic and strategic case for a male combined authority across the LA7 geography, providing a huge investment fund with potential for significant leverage to grow our economy, creating opportunities for our residents and communities. And this could be considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and provide further support for those left behind neighbourhoods across the North East and including County Durham. And has been set out in the report, the statutory order reflects the minded to devolution deal. The next step in the process will be the laying of the order in Parliament, which, subject to the relevant consents of the local and combined authorities, will take place by March 2024, which will then allow elections to take place for a new mayor in May 2024. Chair, can I thank the officers and leaders of all of the 7 local authorities, as well as Henry Kippen, the Chief Executive of the North Tyne Combined Authority, for all of their hard work in developing the devolution deal and in reaching this important milestone. I am happy to second the recommendations in the report, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any other Cabinet members wishing to speak? Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. Morning, Chair. Today we move a step closer to having significant new powers and funding for County Durham. As we know, County Durham Labour wanted a county deal regardless of the fact it meant less funding. They wanted a single individual with control over £1 billion budget and hundreds of services. Thankfully, Chair, we don't have that dictatorship, and instead we'll be able to work in a constructive partnership with other councils by approving these next steps. This will bring significant funding of £1.4 billion to our region, but it's just the start. We've come a long way in the last 2 years as a joint administration, and this devolution deal can help us make County Durham the economic powerhouse we are all working towards. In supporting these next steps, though, I would also say that we now need this and all future governments to devolve even more powers and, critically, more funding to us so that the new mayoral combined authority and our local authorities can achieve what we all know is needed for our county and region. I support these next steps, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkes. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? No? In that case, can we agree the reported's recommendations? I can confirm that the recommendations are agreed. Thank you. Item 3, any other business? I have not been notified of any other business. I would like to thank everyone for taking part and to those members of the public and media who have watched this meeting. That concludes the business for the meeting.